Hi there, it's Jessie here, and a big fat warm welcome to this big fat warm channel. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, guys, I am still working on being patient. It's the message I received yesterday. We had a call with the course and my teacher, and I had some questions. And every question, it was the same thing: be patient. She asked me, "What's the rush?" And she suggested, inquire into yourself. What's the rush? And I think about it, what is the rush, Jess? Why do I feel I want things to go faster? And it makes me think about the concept of if we did live in a reality where you could manifest everything instantly. Oh, I would like this because it will make me feel this way. Boom. Oh, I want to achieve this because it will make me feel this way. Boom. And so on, as it's ever expanding and infinite. And eventually, gosh, I've forgotten his name, but who's that teacher? Oh my gosh, as if I've forgotten this guy's name. I don't know. Anyway, it's just not my idea. But he talks about how if we lived in a reality where you could instantly manifest, eventually what you would want to manifest is forgetting that ability. There would have to be, to make it more satisfying, it would be a process and time, like the passage of time and just waiting. And he says, eventually, Alan Watts, eventually you would manifest exactly the position and the life that you have now. And that rings so true inside of me. It touches a part of me where I'm like, yeah, okay. Is it just a constant reminder I have to give myself? Just patience. Enjoy the process. Is it as simple as that? Maybe I just need to develop that, stretch that patience muscle. Anyway, I also noticed, so I'm back in my home, and as some of you know, I was away at the weekend meeting somebody, and we were trying to see if we want to take things further and date. And I noticed how I sabotage. And I noticed a new thing about me, actually, which is so fascinating, and also credit to my friend who went through her own process of realizing sibling dynamics and how that affected her psyche. Because in her reflections, it's made me think more about mine. So let me fill you in. So I have a wound of betrayal. I believe it began with a primary caregiver, although no fault of their own. It was the way my child interpreted it. And then again at 17, my boyfriend at the time cheated on me, and I found out later, and a lot of my friends knew. So because of this betrayal, I always feel in romantic relationships that there's somebody else for them. So I've dated people before that have been in love with my sister, or I'm dating somebody and I convince myself that they're in love with my friend. This is one of my tendencies because of my core belief that I have, that there's always somebody else. There's somebody better. They're going to come up, I'm going to be left and abandoned for the other person. So this manifested with one of his friends, who's a really beautiful, lovely being, and they are very close. And he was telling me he had been trying to work with Spanish bureaucracy. So God forbid any of us have to do that. And 2 hours, and he had achieved nothing. It was a wild goose chase to nowhere. So he comes downstairs and he's feeling pretty angry about it, and he's telling me about it. And then his friend arrives and he goes outside to meet her, and he starts telling her about it, but way more expressive, way more open, way more vulnerable and real. And I was inside like, oof, what am I feeling? Am I feeling jealous of their connection? Yes, a little bit, although it makes sense. They've been friends for 4 years. We've met for 4 days. So it wouldn't be right of me to ask for that. I felt a little sad that he didn't feel comfortable enough to express himself freely in front of me, because it means I'm not a safe space yet. And that's okay. We've just met and everyone takes different amounts of times to open up. So I was trying to just hold it in, and as the evening went on, they're so close and so connected. And I just felt a little bit like there's not so much space for me. So we go back to his and I raise this, like, hey, I felt a little bit pushed out. And I hadn't become aware yet that I had this dynamic was playing out. So I kind of used it as a way to sabotage the connection that we were starting, because I'm afraid, because this belief tells me unconsciously, this is going to end, they're going to leave you, da-da-da-da. So I wasn't completely aware. So the way that I approached it was like, why aren't you guys together? And I'm almost sort of like pushing it to happen. And they've got history, but he says he doesn't see her romantically, but there's still a very, very strong bond there. And he also, like, it sort of came out that he's a little bit scared of me. Guys, I can't be dealing with this. But I have to take responsibility for my part in it as well. So I'm like, what are you scared of me for? I asked him why he couldn't be so expressive with me. He was like, I'm still a little bit scared of you. Why? I'm not a scary person. Or am I? Because I get this feedback a lot. And for him, it's the way that I express my opinions. I use such assertion and authority. He finds it quite confrontational. And I've had this feedback before. People sort of feel, oh, it's my way or the highway. And it's not. At least as I understand it. I speak from a place of knowing what I think in that moment, but I'm also very open to be challenged with that, and I'm open for that to change. And what I've learned is the more authority that I stand in each moment, actually, the more likely it is to change. And then he compared me to his friend, because she's also very opinionated, Like, I consider us quite similar. But for him, she's much softer, and he doesn't find it as confrontational, so he's not afraid of her. Now, of course, that touches on my wound of like, oh my God, he wants her, not me. So I'm then pushing him away a bit and getting defensive. And the conversation went on, and I thought, okay, where does the responsibility lie? Is it that I am too steadfast in my opinions, which puts people off, which is very possible? Or is it that I know myself and I know what I think and I express that clearly and I know that I'm open to be challenged on that? So for me, it's not confrontation, it's a conversation. But it's too strong for people. And I think, is it just because I'm more in touch with my power? I don't share things so people are afraid of me. I don't impose my opinions on people. But if they feel that way, maybe I am. It was really hurtful because my closest family members have shared this with me. And I'm trying to work out how much it's just being in touch with power, which can be intimidating if somebody isn't in as touch with their power as much. And can I learn to soften? Can I learn to soften? It's like I express my opinions in a tough way. I suppose learned, like it's still a bit of defensiveness in me. And can I learn to soften? Should I learn to soften? All I know is that I don't want to begin a relationship with somebody who's a little bit scared of me, unless they're willing to meet it. And he did say, give me a few days to think about it if I'm willing to step up, because basically it's just uncomfortable if he's faced with that, like it feels confrontational. Well, can you rise up and meet that and communicate clearly and we can work on it together? I don't know. Anyway, that night, I had a dream, one of those dreams where you go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, oh, and you know you're going to go back in it. And I go back to sleep and I go back to the same dream. It went on all night. And interestingly, the dream was with my father and my sister and this guy and his friend. And so I wake up in the morning thinking, okay, so there's a correlation here. And so the way that I'm sabotaging this is immediately projecting that he's in love with somebody else or he wants somebody else. Also in my dream, I'm just going to share this because it's so cool. It was going on all night and it felt like a bit of an intervention, to be honest. It felt like we all sat around this table and people laying into me. I feel like I really had to be humbled for whatever reason. Well, it's not for whatever reason, but for a reason. And at the very end of the dream, I suddenly give birth to a baby, and I'm holding this baby, and I'm looking at it, looking in its eyes, and around me, the people say, like, what's its name? And I look at the baby, and the baby looks at me and goes, Jessie. And there I am feeling really proud. First of all, that I've just given birth to a baby, and it can already speak. I had that proud mother thing. I was like, oh, she's so intelligent. And she's called Jessie. I thought that was cool. Anyway, I haven't like really interpreted it yet, but that's giving birth is a good sign. That I know. To give birth to a little baby that then calls itself Jessie, looking in my eyes, maybe I rebirthed at some point that night. I don't know. Anyway, I felt very proud. I felt like a very proud mother. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just fascinated in the way these dynamics, these beliefs that we form when we're children, they follow us around throughout adult life. Yeah. Jessie. Is there anything else I'd like to say? I guess I just ask your thoughts. Like when you hear this, anything that you see that maybe I'm not seeing, let me know, because I really am open to be challenged. I'm really open to expand my truth. And speaking what I believe in that moment with conviction doesn't mean I'm closed to other things. But so where does the responsibility lie? Is it the other person to be more confident in opposing me? Or is it mine to soften? Or is it a bit of both? Probably a bit of both. So yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it. Let us know your thoughts down below if you have any. And hit subscribe if you'd like more of this content. Otherwise, have a beautiful day, beautiful life. We got this.